All right, man, peace. So now this is going to be part two to the NBA Weekly Roundup. Right now, Skip Bayless was in the midst of one of his LeBron James soliloquies in regards to Dwyane Wade deciding to accept, quote unquote, accept a demotion. Let's hear what they have to say.
28%. He's 7 of 25 overall. He doesn't shoot threes. We know that. He's just not a three-point shooter. So he's 1 for 3 from 3, which is why he doesn't belong with the second unit, because Ginobili can come off the bench and make things happen, including shooting threes. You need your shock troops to come in and light it up.
Right.
And you brought this up last week. You were all for Dwyane starting last week. Now you just go with the flow. 2 weeks ago, whenever it was. But J.R. Smith, once upon a time, not that long ago, 2013, he was Sixth Man of the Year for the New York Knicks.
Yeah, Skip, that's very true. But you have to understand, once again, when you speak about these players, and this also goes into a sentiment that I've touched on before in regards to Skip Bayless, as well as Max Kellerman. They look at the black male athlete as a machine, as a Superman. They don't realize that these people actually have emotions and feelings, and they actually get accustomed to certain things, and like anybody else, they don't want to have their roles diminished. Yes, J.R. Smith at one time was the Sixth Man of the Year with the New York Knicks in 2013. That was the same year that Carmelo Anthony got a first place vote for MVP, when LeBron James most likely should have been a unanimous MVP. J.R. was Sixth Man of the Year. The Knicks won 54 games. That was back in 2013. J.R. Smith right now is a starter, or up to this year was a starter on a championship team. It's the equivalent of being a top side chick and being moved up to being a wife. He does not want to go back to being a side chick. He does not want to go back to coming off the bench. It's very simple. J.R. Smith is much more mentally fragile and fractured than Dwyane Wade. Dwyane Wade can handle a marginalized role because he's much more secure in his legacy. J.R. Smith is not secure in much of anything, which is why he has to follow LeBron James around like a little puppy dog.
Yeah. He's made for that role. Would you rather have Dwyane sort of pouty and down on himself, or would you rather have J.R. Smith grousing?
Well, Skip, you'd have to tell me, at what point in Dwyane Wade's career has he ever been known for being a pouty guy? He's always been known for his entire career as being a team player, for the most part, as far as I know. If brothers have other stories that are contrary to that, please let me know. As far as I've known, Dwyane Wade has never been a pouter. I mean, for the most part, the most that I've heard about him going back and forth with management was when he was on his way out of Miami. We know that he had a little flare-up in Chicago last year. He quickly put out that fire by humbling himself. So Dwyane Wade has a track record of doing what's best for the team. He does not have a track record of pouting. So for Skip to say that, that's just him trying to, to throw in a little red herring in there, to bolster his attempt at a point that Dwyane Wade should start over J.R. Smith. Look, either you can have Dwyane Wade start and, be in an offense where he doesn't know what's going on, and then you could lose JR for the rest of the season, or you can have JR start and have D Wade slowly acclimate himself to the offense and work his way into the lineup. It's up to you.
I'd rather have JR grousing, because sometimes that'll motivate him.
Me personally, I don't believe that D Wade will be pouty. I don't believe he'll be mopey. I believe that he believes this is what's best for the basketball team.
Agreed.
And he said, I did not come here to score 20 points. He knew he wasn't going to score that, especially if Isaiah Thomas comes back and is any resemblance of what he was when he was in Boston.
Agreed. Once again, the offense that Cleveland plays and the players that they have are ball dominant. They like to dribble. So a conundrum that they may hit during the course of this season is that there's only going to be one ball for all those guys who want to break their man down off the dribble and not move the ball. We're going to find out, because once Isaiah Thomas comes back, we're going to have 4 ball-dominant players on the team at the same time, that being LeBron, D. Wade, Isaiah Thomas, and Derrick Rose. And that's not even counting J.R. Smith.
So, and plus LeBron being there. And you see what LeBron is doing, shooting 63%, 26, 10. I don't want to...
I mean, come on, Skip. We already know what LeBron James doing. I mean, 35 points a game, 15 rebounds, 13 assists. 60% from three, 80% from the line. Overall field goal percentage, 75%. I mean, we all know what that man do. 6'8", 260 pounds, sexual chocolate. Man been doing it for 15 years. Skipping me down.
What happened? That Orlando game. I don't get that. What happened?
Can I ask you a
Orlando went to Cleveland and just blew out.
Well, Skip, let me ask you a question. You let me know, cause you older than me. I mean, you was around since Dr. James Naismith. You tell me. Has the team gone 82-0? They lost. Get over it. I mean, damn. Long time ago you lost your top lip. You got over that.
What would the Vegas have paid you if you said 3 games into the season the Warriors beat 1-2? What would Vegas have paid?
I thought we were talking about the Cavaliers.
I'm just trying to tell you.
You change the subject all the damn time. Let me change the subject once in a while. I mean, shit.
Tell you, everybody has a bad game.
Oh.
They just got their one bad one out the way.
Wait, the Spurs are without their 2 best players and they're 3-0. I don't know.
I thought we were talking about Cleveland. Isn't that what you just said? We're talking about Cleveland, right? Now we're talking about the Spurs. You see what I'm talking about?
I don't know.
Okay. All I'm saying is this is not about what's going to project and what's going to happen. I believe that this is the best move for the Cavaliers. I believe Dwyane Wade going into the second unit, initiating the offense, he's going to have the ball in his hand more. It will serve him better. It will serve the team better.
Yes. Initially, I thought that Dwyane Wade should start, just because of his history. But seeing as, like they say, nobody knows a family like the people in that family. Dwyane Wade clearly has evaluated the team framework, the team mentality, and he has decided that it's best for the team that he come off the bench. So I trust his evaluation.
What was the main reason for Dwyane Wade to go to Cleveland? What's his prime?
Well, as I've already stated, the main reason why they brought him in there was to act as a mental buffer, a mental support for LeBron. I said that a long time ago.
Primary responsibility.
He's going to be a starting lineup. No, everybody else wanted to be a backup.
His primary responsibility is to keep LeBron happy.
Thank you, sir. Ding. Thank you, sir. Said that a long time ago. The reason why they brought Dwyane Wade in was as a support for LeBron. They understand that LeBron needs that mental support. He needs that, he needs that totem, if you will. That guy that he can look at and know I can trust him. I have a background with him. Me and him have been in the trenches together. Even if he can't do what he used to do anymore. It's kind of like, Rocky and Apollo. They went to war with each other and, Apollo retired, but he still was around. Rocky needed to have Apollo around to galvanize that warrior spirit in him. Same thing with that's the same mentality with D Wade and LeBron. After Kyrie left LeBron, even though LeBron will deny it, that hurt LeBron because he understands that seriously diminished the chance that he had to win another title. So they had to recoup by bringing in, of course, the players that they traded Kyrie for, but also Dwyane Wade. Because they needed to bring in a guy that LeBron would recognize. Like, the end of Rambo. Remember the end of Rambo First Blood? They had to send in General Troutman to go calm Rambo down.
Just to make sure his spirits are up through the low points, to be his big brother again.
Savannah got that on the lock.
No, Savannah got basketball.
Yeah, you got to worry about that. Me and Savannah got that shit on lock, okay? He ain't no damn big brother. This ain't summer camp. LeBron know whenever he wake up in the morning, he look at me and Savannah, and he give us a kiss on the forehead, both of us. He go drink his orange juice. He get that power shake that I make for him every night, and he get off to work. You don't need no damn D Wade. Hell with D Wade.
Basketball thing. Savannah isn't in the locker room, obviously. She's not in the sideline huddles.
She'll be okay. So, LeBron,
he needed his big brother.
Stop trying to change the subject. The hell's all this about? Who the hell are you? Skip Freud? You know all this psychology now? What's the psychology behind a man with no top lip?
Brother, the guy who taught him how to win. I'm just telling you, how many times last year did LeBron just flip? He would just flip out. They lost at New Orleans.
Yeah, me and LeBron about to have something in common. I'm about to flip on your ass. Another 5 minutes. Let's go to commercial.
And he just goes on a diatribe. It's like crazy talk. We're top heavy as you know what. Really? You're top heavy?
They are.
Well, that's what you're supposed to be in the sport of basketball. If you have 3 stars, you got a big advantage.
Well,
it's
Skip. I don't understand. Do you write sports or do you write history? Why you always bringing up old shit?
It's really a one-star game.
okay, well, what about Golden State? They got four stars, maybe
unheard
five,
of.
and then they got a bench.
Okay, but
So
we're
LeBron
talking
said,
about Cleveland.
And that's all he was saying, Skip. All he was saying, LeBron was trying to make a point, is that when our big three, we can never, and we've seen Golden State, they rested Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and Klay all at once. Or three of the big three can be sitting out at a given time. Mm-hmm. We've never seen, with the exception of them blowing someone out in the fourth quarter, we had never seen Kyrie, LeBron, and Kevin Love all on the bench at the same time unless it was a blowout in one way or another. Either the team was up really big on them or they were really up big on someone else.
Yeah, but Shannon, let's understand something right now. Cleveland, in regards to the talent on their roster, just the talent. I'm not talking about their ability to play together on the floor. As far as their overall talent, they probably have the most talent of any team in the NBA. They're right there with Golden State. They're right there with them in regards to overall talent. All right? You match up LeBron and KD. I give LeBron a slight edge. You know, certain people might call that a wash. Of course, you have Steph over Isaiah Thomas, but please keep in mind, Isaiah Thomas was a guy averaging 29 a game last year on 47% from the field, so the numbers are there. Even if we know he's not on Steph's level, the numbers are there. You know, when you combine a D Wade and a J.R. Smith, that almost can nullify a Klay Thompson. Then you got D Rose coming off the bench to go back and forth with Sean Livingston. Of course, the X factor is going to be Iguodala because of what he can do. But you know, it depends on what type of game is being played. Tristan Thompson can have a great game on the inside that can almost nullify all of the overall floor work that an Iguodala can do, whether it be guarding, passing, etc. But it depends on where Double T's mind is at. And then, of course, you got Kevin Love and Draymond Green. Now we know that Draymond is he's like a Swiss Army knife. He can do so many things. But Kevin Love is going to bring you 18 and 13, 18 and 14. Bottom line. So point being is that their rosters are comparable. It's not like people try to make LeBron out to be this guy who's taken, a bunch of toy soldiers to war. That's not the case. That has not been the case, really since he left Cleveland the first time. Since he left Cleveland the first time, LeBron has headed into every season with the best team on paper, outside of when Golden State signed Kevin Durant.
Yes. But as far as just them being able to rest, that couldn't happen. And LeBron was saying we need more depth. Mm-hmm. He wasn't trying to throw, man, look at us. But they were top.
But what's he complaining for? He's the GM.
LeBron is a player.
Go get players. Call Commissioner Silver and say we need help. And they got Kyle Korver.
You love that joke, don't you, Skip? Call Commissioner Silver and tell him we need help. You about to call security to tell them that you need help in a minute.
Kyle Korver. Boom. Got him.
So I can pass him when I shouldn't pass him and take the shot myself.
Yeah. So, look, here's the bottom line. Dwyane Wade needs to be in the starting lineup, but J.R. Smith needs to play more minutes than Dwyane. Just reduce Dwayne Smith. Just start him, play him for 4 or 5 minutes, then...
Actually, I believe it's the opposite. I believe that J.R. needs to start for his own mental well-being, and then you bring in Dwyane off the bench and maybe give Dwyane more minutes.
Then bring in JR, and for the game, let Dwyane play 18 minutes and JR play 25 minutes.
Watch what they look like tonight with the spacing, because you're not going to be able to collapse the floor because LeBron is going to skip that ball to JR and he's going to be splashing them threes. So
watch what LeBron do out there. It's going to be like poetry in motion. Skip, you ever go to a symphony and you see that man leading the band, leading the orchestra? That's going to be LeBron. He's going to take point guard to a hole. He's going to invent his own position. He's going to be the first point center in history. He's going to play the 5 and lead the league in assists. I love it.
You referred previously to skip passes. Skip gives LeBron no passes.
No, I'm saying skip passes.
You're talking about.
No, you don't give it. All you try to do is like you don't want to give Carson.
I'm the one who doesn't give him passes.
But Carson got this. Carson got me.
Carson's a really good man.
MVP.
Yeah, he is. For now he is.
Carson Wentz, he's on the rise.
Next up, Steph Curry was fined $50,000 for throwing his mouthpiece towards a ref during Saturday's game, but he was not suspended. After the game, Steph said he was not aiming at the ref. He played last night and dropped 29 points in the Warriors' blowout win against the Mavericks.
Look, Steph Curry should have been suspended for a game for throwing that mouthpiece. All right? Not even because he claimed that it was not egregious, that it was not purposeful. Look, at the end of the day, to me, throwing a mouthpiece is equivalent to spitting at somebody. That mouthpiece has saliva and bodily fluid on it. That is beyond unsanitary. That's disgusting. Okay? He did it one time before he hit a fan. Really, he should have been suspended that time, but it was the NBA Finals, so you really couldn't suspend him. And the NBA was culpable in him getting that frustrated because the fix was clearly in on Game 6 of the 2016 Finals. They did not want Golden State to come back and win that game. They were doing everything that they could to get that series to Game 7 for LeBron.
Shannon, should Steph have been suspended?
Absolutely, because this was his second offense. Skip, and I get it. If you didn't want to suspend him for throwing the mouthpiece in Game 6, they were losing. He was the reigning MVP. There were going to be a Game 7, and I get it. Although you did suspend Udonis Haslem for doing the exact same thing. You suspended Amari Stoudemire. Remember, Amari came up.
Udonis actually hit Joey Crawford.
No, but I'm saying.
Well, that's okay.
But
I'm good with that. I'm fine with it. Whatever Udonis does, I'm fine with it.
And you remember, against your San Antonio Spurs, they suspended Amari Stoudemire for Game 7 for coming off the bench in Game 6.
Yeah, but come on, Shannon. Everybody knows the rule for coming off the bench is suspension. The issue with the NBA seems to be that they don't have any verifiable rule for what the penalty would be if a player decides to throw his mouthpiece, at least as far as I know. If one of you brothers knows something that I don't know, please correct me in regards to that. But they need to implement that because you can't have guys throwing around their mouthpiece.
Okay, so that has to do with what?
So this is his second offense.
All right.
This is a meaningless game in October. This is an opportunity.
Yeah, as you can see, that last foul, Steph had every reason to be irate, but there's never a reason to throw your mouthpiece. But the fix was definitely in on that game. There was about 3 or 4 phantom fouls that were given to him, that last one especially. And that call was reprehensible.
Opportunity for you to say, okay, Steph, go sit this one down. Don't let this happen again. That's all you had to do, Skip.
Yep.
How many times does he get to throw his mouth? First of all, why do they touch it so much? You put the mouthpiece in your mouth. You shake a guy's hand. You slap a guy on the butt. You pat a guy on the head. And then you stick it and put it back in your mouth.
They do that all the time.
I know.
Yes, Steph Curry clearly has some type of oral fixation, but still, the statements that Shannon is making are accurate. Once again, that mouthpiece is very unsanitary, number one. Number two, there are diseases that can be communicated or that can be transferred from one person to another through their saliva and through other bodily fluids.
No, they don't. I don't touch it.
If it falls on the ground.
That's why I didn't wear no mouthpiece. That's nasty. But I'm saying
Well, I mean,
this.
Steph's got an obsession with his because he's always like chewing on them.
Yeah.
Free throws.
Yeah, you got an oral fixation.
Free throws.
And you excuse talk about, did you
Udonis chews his mouthpiece too.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Joy.
Hey, better watch it. Udonis a real one. Don't get involved with you.
Hey, that's
Udonis a real one. Oh, what's that mean? All that mean is that you're another chick who's going to brag about some dude who you claim is going to be ignorant. And to you, that makes him a real one. Yeah, whatever.
that's the thing. He shouldn't have been suspended, but this is a second offense, Skip. And you're talking about he wasn't trying to hit the ref. That's not the issue. The issue is that you threw it for a second time. So how many times does he get to throw his mouthpiece? Let me ask you a question, Skip. If that was Boogie Cousins, tell me what would have happened.
Yeah, but you know what, Shannon, that is a very poor comparison. Everybody knows that people are judged differently based off of their behavioral profile. Boogie Cousins has a history of misbehavior and emotional instability. You can't compare him to a Steph Curry. Now, Steph Curry has to be watched because this is the second time that he's done this. To me, if he does it again, he needs to be suspended for multiple games. All right? He should have been suspended 1 game for this time. But when you start bringing up people like Boogie Cousins has a he just has an acting out issue. He just likes to act out. You know, he's created this delusion where everybody has got it out for him, and every time he gets a foul call, he has to throw a tantrum. So obviously he has very little equity with the NBA officials, and justifiably so.
Oh, Lord have mercy. He might be going for a while.
Exactly. And that's my point, Skip. This is a perfect opportunity.
They wouldn't suspend it for more than one game.
For you to say, Steph, stop this now. This is enough. I get it. You're frustrated. They were losing, and I get the frustration. 1-2. Nobody thought they'd be 1-2 at this point in time, but you did it 2 years ago, and you've done it again. So at what point in time do you send a message to say, Steph, we need you to stop this as a face of the league? I get it, he's an MVP, but he's doing something that's unacceptable. So he $50,000 to a guy that's making $40 million.
Well, that's a hefty fine, but I agree. He should have been suspended. Once again, you can't be throwing around your damn mouthpiece.
I cannot tell you. I agree with every point you just made times 100. Because when I heard that Steph was not suspended just for a game, just to make the statement, just to send the message, this will not be tolerated, it turned my stomach. Because it has come to this for the NBA. And I usually give Adam Silver gold medals for all of his decisions. He gets no medal for this one because this is just shameful.
Well, Adam Silver is a woke NBA commissioner. He's woke, a.k.a. super liberal. He does feel like he needs to kowtow to the players. To me, it's very indicative of the mentality that many adults have in this society today, where they feel like they need to appeal to younger people because it makes themselves feel younger. As if to say, look, I'm hip, I'm down with you. And that's the mentality that Adam Silver has. Also, as I've stated, I personally believe that Adam Silver is a homosexual, allegedly. So, it goes back to the one hand washes the other. You scratch my back, I scratch yours philosophy. Adam Silver knows that as long as he treats the players, especially the elite players in the NBA, favorably, that when it comes time for him to ask them to support things like homosexual rights and lesbian rights and transgenderism, they're not going to say no. When he has a gay day, all the players will support it. Because what do most super liberal blacks say? Well, we're oppressed and we don't like to be oppressed, so we shouldn't oppress anybody else. Even though the so-called black community is the most accepting of homosexuality of any community in America by far, not even a close second. The dyke black woman could walk down the street dressed up like a man, dressed up like a boy with her Timberland boots on and her fitted cap, and nobody will bother her. The homosexual man could walk down the street, with that feminine energy, and nobody will harass him at all. But, that's part of social engineering. You let the kids do what they want, and in return, when you want them to do something for you, they'll do it. So there is a lot of psychological manipulation going on here with the NBA commissioner. But do I believe that he's treating Golden State necessarily? Do I believe that he's treating them favorably as a team, as an organization? No, not really. I actually believe that they've won 2 out of their 3 the 2 championships that they've won, 2 out of 3 seasons, despite the league and despite how the league has treated them. Because to me, it's very clear that the league has wanted LeBron James to win a lot of these championships, so that they could do more to give him or bolster LeBron James as having his own era. Remember, the NBA is an entertainment league. Part of the narrative of the NBA is that there are eras. You had the Bill Russell era, you had the Magic and Bird era, you had the Jordan era, you had the Shaq and Kobe era, you had the Tim Duncan, San Antonio Spurs era in the mid-2000s. You had the Miami Heat era. So really, it's better for the league, at least I believe they think it is, that LeBron James have his own era. But it's hard to do that with Golden State. Golden State kind of came out of nowhere, and that happens with certain teams that come out of nowhere. The Pistons, the bad boy Pistons, came out of nowhere in the late 80s. The 2004 Pistons kind of came out of nowhere. Even to a degree, San Antonio kind of came out of nowhere. And, San Antonio doing well in the mid-2000s kind of was a low point for the NBA. So there's kind of a love-hate relationship with Golden State, but the NBA is clearly on the side of LeBron to win championships. This is why they've helped him orchestrate some of the things that they've helped him with. So to make a long story short, do I believe that the league is treating Golden State favorably in a way that they're not treating other teams? No, I do not.
This is catering to the two-time MVP, a marquee star on a team that was the most prohibitively favored before the season started in the history of the NBA to win it all.
Correct.
So you are protecting your product here. And it's just disgusting because you're letting them push the boundaries, push the limits farther and farther, and then you let Steve Kerr talk you out of it and shame you into a no decision here.
Well, Steve Kerr is CIA trained. He has a CIA background through his father and also through himself, as most of the top coaches in professional sports are MK handlers or CIA trained mind manipulators. I've gone over that already. Guys like Chuck Daly and, once again, Steve Kerr, Greg Popovich, they all have CIA ties. It is what it is.
Here on Steph, no suspension, because right after the game, Steve Kerr, everybody respects the heck out of Steve Kerr.
Love Steve.
Oh, do they? But he made an extremely sarcastic remark about, he should get 8 or 10 games for throwing.
Well, they love Steve because Steve is also super liberal. You know, guys like him and Popovich, they're super liberal. At least they have a super liberal image that they're trying to push for themselves.
For throwing his mouthpiece. And he went on to say, it was egregious, it was awful, it endangered people in the stands, blah, blah, blah. He was just laying it on thick.
Right.
And I guess Kiki Van Way in the league office and Commissioner Silver sat back and said, yeah, he's really got a point. It wasn't that big a deal. He didn't actually hit Joey Crawford, the referee in question. I'm not a big Joey Crawford fan either. You're a Udonis fan, but that was okay.
You was out on Joey ever since he threw Tim out of the game for
Guess what happened?
Yeah, Joey Crawford is an asshole.
What happened to him? He got tossed for that, right, for a while. But in this case, you can't let Steph Curry even throw in the direction of the official. It's in the direction. Maybe he didn't aim at him, but he kind of threw it at his feet.
Well, he's not Clayton Kershaw.
No.
Hell, if he could hit him, he'd have been pitching, probably been pitching in baseball.
Right. And so this is the NBA backing off. And I just let them be themselves, just the way they backed off last year after Game 1 of the conference finals, when Zaza Pachulia got away with as dirty a play as I've ever seen in all.
Everything with Skip go back to Zaza Pachulia. Like he really want to act like that's the reason why San Antonio didn't win a championship.
In all my years of watching playoff basketball, and I'm going to say it one more time, my Spurs were up 23 points, Game 1, third quarter, and that play happened. And it's a dirty play. And to Pop's credit, Greg Popovich, Spurs coach, the next day, he went off on everybody, including the league, for not suspending him. But he didn't. It's okay.
But
it was an accident.
But in Game 6, he did throw it, and it hit a fan. Which is more egregious than hitting a referee.
Steph.
Yeah, Steph threw it.
Yeah, well, we know Steph wasn't going to get suspended for Game 7. They already did them the favor of keeping Draymond out of Game 5. They wasn't going to keep Steph out of Game 7. That would have been too blatant.
Threw his mouthpiece and he hit a fan. Okay, you fined him for that. You should have told him, Steph, any more throwing of the mouthpiece will result in a suspension.
No, what they should have done was they should have went into their rule book and they should have said any throwing of a mouthpiece, which is unsanitary, unhealthy, will lead to a 1-game suspension. Mandatory, period.
Yep. So clearly you didn't say that, or clearly he didn't get the message, which in either case is unacceptable. I get Steph is a 2-time MVP. I get it, he's one of the faces of the NBA. But Skip, you can't let stuff like this go, especially when it's more than once.
I agree. So what happened right on schedule last night in Dallas? The Golden State Warriors were right back on schedule.
Matter of fact, now that I think of it, I was here trying to rack my brain because I was like, there was another issue with the mouthpiece, a mouth guard. Now I remember. There was an issue with DeMarcus Cousins against Portland where he supposedly spit his mouthpiece out at the Portland bench and they kicked him out of the game. I'm surprised that Shannon didn't remember that or bring that up. Or maybe subconsciously he did remember it. He did remember something regarding DeMarcus and a mouthpiece, but he couldn't remember exactly what it was. And that's what caused him to bring up DeMarcus in his conscious mind. But yeah, that's what it was. DeMarcus was roasting one of them dudes on Portland. And I guess he started talking trash to him and the mouthpiece came out. Supposedly they claimed that he spit it out. And then they kicked him out of the game.
on schedule, grandstanding and front running and acting like they're the Globetrotters against the Washington Generals. And did you see the kid Jordan Bell's play at the end of the game? Can we just see that for a second? Just put this in perspective. Jordan Bell, I hope we have this play. Yes, we do. Here we go the other way. Jordan Bell alone, off the glass, and dunks it. And then we get to see KD and Steph are like,
But Steve Kerr was laughing. And then it was reported that he apologized to Rick Carlisle for what Jordan Bell did.
Of course he apologized to Rick Carlisle. Rick Carlisle was a former player on the mid-'80s Celtics, the '86 Celtics team. Rick Carlisle's the type of guy that, with a month left in the season, Dallas having a record that's 25 games below 500, Golden State looking to just go into the playoffs relatively healthy. Rick Carlisle will bring in somebody off the end of the bench and say, you know what? When Steph goes to the basket, you make sure that he feels something. Next thing you know, your season is over because you lose one of your stars. So Steve is smart enough to know that you have to apologize for that. That's an old NBA rule. You don't do things like that when you're up, 25 plus points with 2 minutes left.
Rick Carlisle should apologize for putting that crappy team out on the court.
Okay, but it has come to this for Golden State.
Yeah.
That's the way they're going to treat the league because they get kid gloved by the league. They get protected.
Yes.
And so even the kid...
No, they're going to do that because they're number one. In sports, there's always been teams that have championship DNA, championship mentality, whether in a team sport or in a single sport like boxing, tennis, what have you. And when somebody's at their peak, that swag starts to emanate. If you don't like it, stop them from winning. But in this case, that is just basketball etiquette. You don't do that.
Kid Jordan Bell, that they went up and they stole him. I liked him a lot in NCAA's out of Oregon. And so now he's a warrior. He's doing warrior things. He's doing Steph things. He's grandstanding. He is front running, and that's what they have come to because they know that their boundaries are much wider than most of the league.
And that's if I don't advocate, I don't go around advocating for people to be suspended, players to be suspended, having played a professional sport. But at some point in time, no matter how great you are, or no matter how big your face is in that particular sport, you got to be held accountable for your actions.
I agree. And I believe that the next time, if there is a next time, hopefully there won't be. But if there is a next time that Curry does this, that he's going to miss a game. I think that he has to. Very similar to how Draymond kept kicking people in the nuts, and eventually he had to miss a game.
This is sending a bad message because Boogie Cousins is looking around like, if that was me, I already know I'm gone.
That's true. He would be gone, but once again, he has a behavioral profile that you really can't compare. It's like somebody who's robbed 10 banks. They're not going to get the same prison sentence as somebody who just robbed the corner store for the first time and stole a pack of gum.
Let me ask you, if Draymond Green, he doesn't wear one, if he's throwing his mouthpiece, you think they suspend Draymond?
Well, once again, Draymond is somebody in the class of a Boogie Cousins, to be quite frank with you. Draymond is a guy who has a history of getting technical fouls. He has a history of getting into altercations. So it's hard to compare. You're going to be judged based on previous conduct. I
would think so, given his track record. By the way, Draymond's talking big and bad last night after Dennis Smith Jr. goes in and tries to, quote-unquote, dunk on him.
Yeah.
Dennis Smith Jr. is 6 feet 3 inches tall. Draymond's 6'7", 6'8", somewhere in that ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
Pick on somebody your own size.
Yeah, but let's be for real. Draymond has shown that he's not going to back down from anybody, whether they be small or large. And that is Draymond's role, is to bring toughness and to let guys know that he's not going to let them drive the lane on him. That's his role.
It's Draymond.
You know what Bron did. You remember Bron on Christmas Day? Hung him like he hung an ornament.
Hell yes. LeBron twisted him up like a damn pretzel. Sure did.
I thought it was pencil on it. You on the rope, you had a big old tree dunked and lighting everywhere.
Hell yeah. I remember that Christmas. Me and LeBron dressed up like Santa Claus, surprised the kids, woke them up early that morning. Savannah, she had that candy cane, walking around all cheerful. I love that girl. Best thing I ever did was marry them two.
Draymond?
Draymond and
He hung on the rim and shoot out a technical?
Yeah, he didn't know he shouldn't have skipped. He didn't want nobody to undercut him and hurt him.
Oh, really?
Dunked everybody through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dunked on the whole damn stadium. First time I ever seen that in my life, Skip. Man drove the lane and dunked on 20,000 people. Only my man could do that. 6'8", 255 pounds. Sexy chocolate.
Yeah, I think.
Isn't it amazing how they've gone from like the baby-faced assassins, Splash Brothers, and now they're like the evil empire?
Yeah, they're the evil empire. They are.
Yeah.
No, they're not the evil empire per se. They're just at the top. They have what everybody else wants, and when you get to that level, when you reach the pinnacle, people are going to look at you different. When Muhammad Ali was coming up, when he was just Cassius Clay, he was the talented clown. When he got to the top, when he reached the pinnacle, then his image totally changed. Part of it was due to his conversion, but part of it's just that when you're at the top, when you're the king, people view you with a different aura, with a different air, and you have to be mentally strong enough to deal with that. And everybody takes on a different disposition. When the Pistons got on top, they took on the bad boy disposition. The Bulls were cocky, the Lakers with Kobe and Shaq, so on and so forth. That's part of it.
Yeah,
Took over for the Yankees. As Lonzo.
But anyway, that was the NBA roundup for this week. Peace.